Just a Stats, Reggie Johnson, Eugene Morgan coming to you from the lovely city of Atlanta, Georgia. Eugene, we have football season is upon us. We're going to talk about the top 5 teams heading into the season. We'll probably do this like every month or something. We probably should re-update that. Do a top 5 heading into every first week or so. Every first week of the month, we'll do like a little top 5 episode there, see if that changes throughout Vegas. We're using Vegas odds. But before we get on that, let's talk a little bit about here the Bryce Young and if this is a kind of a make it or break it year here for Bryce Young. Let's go here to this tab with Scott Barrett sharing here on Twitter, or formerly known as Twitter, I should say. Revisiting the Brian Burns, Bryce Young, and Christian McCaffrey trade, the Panthers basically traded Caleb Williams, which is basically the draft pick for Caleb Williams, right? So let's not get crazy. I mean, I feel like if you knew you were getting Caleb Williams, it's a little bit. I don't know if you make that same trade, but technically this isn't wrong because this is what this all turned into. You did trade Christian McCaffrey. You did trade DJ Moore. Your 2023 first round pick, top 10, round 2 pick, 2023, 2024 round 1 pick, 2025 round 1 pick. So that's a haul, right? It's a haul.
That's a haul.
In exchange for a 1-year rental on Brian Burns. That's got to hurt. Bryce Young, why you put the guy's height in? You got 5'10" next to the guy. Don't do the guy like that, man. They got the height next to the guy. I feel like that's a shot there. Outside linebacker, DJ Johnson, PFF's worst graded edge rusher in 2024. Goodness gracious.
That's what you always want to hear or read.
Yeah, 2 round 5 picks. Goodness. What are your thoughts here, man? Is this a make it or break it year here for the Panthers? And do you feel like, more importantly, is it a make it or break it year here for the for Bryce Young? Organization-wise, you notice the ANC organization, he'll get rid of this whole thing, man. If things aren't, if he doesn't see
that's right,
things happening, you'll be out of here in like an hour, you know?
Right. They're still paying like 2 former coaches still. Still paying them.
He said I'll pay a third. Don't get it twisted.
I'll pay a third. Exactly. So I feel bad for Bryce because he's not in a situation we don't know what he could be. They're not getting any weapons. They're not building a line around him, and it's just. And we've seen some glimpses, but it's been some glimpses in preseason. So it's like I'm never judging. I got fooled by the Kenny Pickett experience last year. I'm not getting fooled again by preseasons ever again. Not doing it. I was fooled. I drank the Kool-Aid from Kenny Pickett yesterday, or I'm sorry, last year preseason. Not doing it again. So I like you and me. We were both SEC guys, and I can't give up on
an Bama guy, man. I want to root for Bryce so bad.
Right.
But there does need to be some strides that need to be taken this year, obviously, for him for this to even remote. Forget just the first overall pick, because I think that the problem you're going to have with that is CJ Stroud is in that same draft, and he's looking like the first overall pick. So you might be losing that battle no matter what. Now I'm kind of just wondering if you can just be a serviceable quarterback. Forget trying to beat the other guy in the draft. Can you be a starting franchise quarterback for this organization? I think he still has it in him. Might take some time. Who knows? Man?
Yeah.
I mean, this
look at CJ.
Horrible, abysmal last year,
Right. But look at CJ's situation. Like, they built a team around him. Like, he's got receivers. He's got running backs. They got a defense. So they have nothing. They have nothing in Carolina. They have a running back, maybe, who's going to be injured for like the first 4 games, I think, or he's going to be out for 4 to 6. I think it's the first 4 games or first 4 to 6 weeks, whatever. So that might be a glimmer of hope,
right?
Yeah, Jonathan Brooks. So, and then I couldn't even. If you showed me the receivers in a lineup, I couldn't pick them out. It's just. I mean, the owners just speak. He's probably got to be like one of the worst owners right now. I mean, it's like.
I mean, due to the firing the people as quick as you do, I think it was David Tepper, right? David Tepper firing. People the way that you have and the absolute dysfunction that your organization has displayed since you've been there, there's not much to say that you're not the worst owner. I mean, it's so crazy because when you come from the ownerships such as Dan Snyder's, it's hard to say that he looks like an amazing owner compared to that guy. But now that Dan Snyder's gone, that floor is getting kind of raised. But you can't just use him as he's the worst owner guy in the room no more. So now you're gonna have to start to produce, and I don't know if another last place finish is gonna do it. Do you move off of a guy that you drafted first overall? Do you move off of him in 2 years, Eugene? Is that even possible? You got to give him at least 3. You think? What do you think?
I think so, but here's the issue. I mean, we're you and I are definitely we're like viewing the game right now. Who's potentially going to be the number 1 pick, right? Sanders is he's projected to be the number 1, and Beck from Georgia.
Are you trying to say that there's a chance that you're faced with a Bryce Young, Shedeur Sanders situation, or Bryce Young, or whoever the next first quarterback, and you just automatically thinking like, hey, well, maybe we got a Kyler. Remember Josh Rosen when Kyler became available? Josh Rosen, even though the Cardinals had taken him early, they were like, hey, man, you got to go. We got a new guy coming in here. And do you think that? I
felt so bad for Josh Rosen.
Look at how it turned out, though, right? Kyler Murray gets re-upped for a massive contract, and I don't even know if Josh Rosen, is he backing somebody up right now? What is he doing? Like a great choice here for the Cardinals.
Practice squad somewhere. I don't know where he's at. He's got to be somewhere, right? He's somewhere like a practice squad, I'm pretty sure, or backup or third string. Those guys always seem to find a way somewhere. I'm like, oh, that guy, he's there. So, or like you said, if you do get the number 1 pick, then you can then invest that pick into more picks, right? Get some more assets. But second year, I'd hate for them to get up on the right way. Just maybe get him some weapons, especially with the way the quarterback contracts are, the rookie contracts are now. It's like you can at least go another year with them. At least get that third or fourth year. At least the third year, right? Because then you're going to know, okay.
I think you got to go 3. First overall pick, I got to go 3. Or his second year would be so abysmal. If there's no progression from the first year, and another guy becomes available. Those are the 2 things that will make me move off of him after a couple of years. If another guy becomes available, a better option, and he has regression somehow, which would be terrible from last year, then that would be what would make me move off of him. What's interesting is we're going to go to a guy here who is not, he's got the money. People don't really question if he's a franchise quarterback, but recently our guy Josh Allen here got hit with an NFL quarterback survey from 103 anonymously polled NFL players who say that he is the most overrated quarterback. What are your thoughts here on Josh Allen being the most overrated quarterback? Now, here's the list. Josh Allen, let me go down the list. And these are all great quarterbacks, by the way. But I think that in order to be overrated, you got to be great, right? You're not going to be a guy on here who just sucks because you're not overrated. Josh Allen, 1, Jalen Hurts, Tua Tagovailoa, Justin Herbert, Trevor Lawrence, Deshaun Watson. Interesting. What are your thoughts here quickly on that? And then I can, he did react to it. We're going to kind of talk about his reaction.
Yeah. I mean, it's, I don't know how you over put somebody in this category who can pretty much guarantee you 10 wins a year. He's a 10-win quarterback, guaranteed with no help. He's probably, if you stack him in against mono quarterbacks, he's right there with Mahomes, right? He's got to be your, if you're good in Mahomes 1A, he's definitely your 1B in my opinion. On this list, how is he on the same list with Deshaun Watson? Deshaun Watson should be on his own list. He shouldn't even be like, it's just a terrible quarterback.
Maybe it's a contract that the money he got paid. And we're like, oh, he's not worth that money. Like, yeah, maybe that's a situation that gets him.
Maybe because
the money's the only thing that would say that he's even a great quarterback. All these other guys have had some level of success the last few years. And I think that's where Deshaun Watson doesn't really need to be on this list because he has not had the same level of success those other guys have had over the last absolutely. Few years here. So maybe I'm thinking it's the money that he got paid and people just thinking that he doesn't deserve that bag that he got. It's interesting because let's quickly to what say you here. So LeBron says, I guarantee he's at the top of the scouting report before playing Buffalo offensively. So who cares? Which is kind of what people are, what you're going to. Josh himself said, so you're telling me I was voted as the number 1 best trash talker. Let's go. Because he was also bugged. He won for both of them. He won for most trash talk and he also won for most overrated. He swept swept, I guess. I don't know if there how many awards there were. But I think this is solid because at the end of the day, we still arrive to the same road. No matter what.
Yeah.
You might say you feel the guy's overrated. You might say, I don't think he's that good. But when you guys are putting that game plan in during the week, you know who you're talking about. You're talking about 17. Mm-hmm. How are we going to stop 17? We all know, right? We spend a whole week discussing how we're going to stop 17. If the guy was overrated, then why speak about it at all, right? Just take the week off. Hey, who cares, right? You know what I mean? We're playing Josh Allen. He's overrated. Doesn't matter. Just take the week off.
Whatever.
But I'm pretty sure that's not happening. And then when and I'm pretty also he can beat you. Let's not get it twisted. The guy can go out there and win that game. And it's interesting because I'm always kind of acquiescing to player perspectives as far as what they say, how they feel about things, how they feel about their colleagues and stuff like that. So I'll take this seriously. If the player says you're overrated, I'll think, hey, you're doing something to give them that opinion. But at the same time, it doesn't seem to change kind of like who you are. So what do? Let's go to, let me go here. Let's start here. We'll go to our top 5 teams here. Boom. Let's start with our first team here, Kansas City. I'm going to scroll them up here. I don't know if we're going to get this every week. I first really just found this and I was able to just get this to just scroll up with as many, because all the teams are on here. When these top 5 actions, I found that, and we're going to kind of try to do a top 6 here, because when you get to the last 2 teams, there were some lists that included them in reverse place. Like some lists had them in the 5th place, some lists had those teams in 6th place. So we'll kind of go over that. But the consensus between Vegas and all the other sports books and sites, Kansas City power rankings number 1 across the board. Any disagreement there?
No, I mean, the only thing I could think of is I'm not saying they won't be the number 1 team at the end of it. I just don't know if they're going to be, because they proved to us last year, right? They can go win on the road. So this may be a team where they're not worried about being the number 1 team all year long. They could maybe fade away into that top 4, top 5, because they know they can go win on the road. So maybe they don't have, maybe they're not. I'm not saying they're going to just phone it in, but maybe there's going to be some games where I think we're okay, right? Or maybe Kelsey's not going to play this game because he hurt his toe, or maybe a game he would have played, that type of go. I just don't know if that's. I think not going wrong. I think they're the team to beat. I just don't know they're going to be playing full gas this year, especially when they just what they did last year, winning on the road, which they proven they can, and of course they have the best quarterback.
They got better skill players, right?
Oh, my God.
I mean, last year, it was a struggle. It was like points. They were looking like the Jets, like a poor man's Patrick Mahomes. So it's crazy because I don't even want to mention the Jets. My bad. Maybe you say the Steelers. At least the Steelers scored sometimes and did still have a winning record.
Yeah.
They looked abysmal, like it was just hard at times. And you're just not used to seeing that from the Chiefs, right? Kind of things came on at the end of the year, but things looked a lot harder than they have looked in the years past. And it just, I guess maybe we've taken that for granted. I remember the first year they came out the gates last year, we were kind of just like, I don't know, man. And we saw a little bit of that kind of the first half of last year. So, towards the end of the year, they kind of came on, which great teams do. They come on at the end of the year. I do think that the Chiefs are the team to be. They deserve to be the team to beat. They have been the team to beat for the last couple of years. They have gotten better at certain skill positions. They did bring in Xavier Worthy, somebody who can hopefully, they haven't really been able to replace Tyreek Hill since he left, but hopefully this will kind of help them in some kind of way. We don't know, because Tyreek Hill isn't just fast; he's a great receiver. He's
that's the difference. Like we've seen bad receivers that can't catch. Tyreek Hill can catch and just go. That's the difference. And can
correct, yeah. And I'm hoping that maybe Xavier Worthy can do the same for them, because it'd be nice to watch Patrick Mahomes more. When you're watching a Hall of Fame quarterback like Patrick Mahomes, you want to watch a guy with the requisite weapons to continue that level of success that he's been used to up to this point. So it's no surprise here that the Chiefs are the number 1 team. The number 2 team, see here, is, let's scroll up, San Francisco 49ers. What are your thoughts here? on the 49ers. And is it any surprise
isn't
that
it
the
great?
49ers are the second team?
Well, no, isn't it great?
Team
We get
two.
like the podcast gods, like, give us a gift today of Ayuk signing his contract that he was given to like 3 weeks ago, same contract. So isn't it amazing when we get Ayuk news when we get to actually talk about the 49ers?
It's like a 120, 76 mil
Yep.
guarantee, I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking off the top of my head
Yep.
here, so don't kill me. And I think from what I was reading, it was a tweet. I think he said it was front loaded. I think it was Ian Rappaport. He said it was front loaded contract. So I don't know if it's what is that 30-ish per year? So 4 years, so 30-ish per year. Maybe they front loaded the first
you
3
nailed
years.
it,
Maybe
by
it's
the
really
way.
a 3-year contract. Did I?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, $76 million guarantee, $120 million 4-year contract. You nailed it, dude. Good job by you.
Thank you, sir. Better job here by Brandon Ayuk, I guess. And I don't know if his agents were. I don't know if he likes them. He probably could have signed that a while back ago. But I feel like it's where he kind of belongs, and I think it helps the 49ers establish a level of consistent dominance that they've become used to. Kind of in the same way as Kansas City has, except that Kansas City's winning championships, and that's a little bit different for the 49ers. 49ers are not winning in championships. What are your thoughts on the Ayuk signing and on the 49ers staying in that second position?
Well, obviously that's you finished last. You finished the runner up, so obviously it makes the most sense. They're a great team. What else can you say? They're bringing everybody back. They still got to get that Trent Williams things figured out because I don't like my right tackle, not being out. So that would kind of scare me, especially he's like just a beast over there. So they got to figure that part out because when Purdy's numbers were dipping is when when Williams was hurt, so that they need that piece back. But their defense is great. They gotta. Even if they didn't have Ayuk, they would still have a great offense. But now they have Ayuk. They've got. They're just talent. It's just talent all up and down that that roster.
Agreed. And with Ayuk coming in, and I think Purdy's going to be up here pretty soon, right?
Yeah,
contract wise. I just got to see because he's not making anything. And they're re-signing all their guys. They had already re-upped on McCaffrey, and they're trying to get the Trent Williams situation worked out, which they have to get worked out. By the way,
yes,
there's no.
There's no
way. He's at least for the next couple. I can see not wanting to give the guy like 5 or 6 year contract, but at least maybe you get that 2 to 3 year or something. I feel like maybe you bring Trent back at least for the next few years, just to see how it goes. I haven't seen any regression on his part. Maybe there's something that people who are better offense going to look at offensive lines better than I can, but Trent Williams is one of the best in the league, and I think that he needs to get paid in order for them to continue this level of success because they win with him and Debo. So they're kind of getting their guys. Purdy's the last guy to get paid. Do you think they're going to be able to pay Purdy when it comes down to it?
No, they're gonna have to cut some.
That was a solid. That's a solid no, man. That was a very quick no right there. You don't think they're gonna be able to pay Brock Purdy, which basically you said they got to blow it up in after this year, right? That's what you're saying.
They can always be creative too. Like you can always turn some of those contracts and like turn the guarantee or turn the money, like the whatever the salary, turn to some guarantee money. You can get under their cap. So they can be creative, or or they, like you said, or this is the year. Maybe they start looking at some of these pieces and going, well, some of these pieces like Debo and you got Kittle, and so how much can you cut some of those and build maybe get some younger talent to the draft. So there's always creative ways. I just know that it's going to be tough. So especially when you give this contract to Ayuk, and then you have to sign somewhere. Purdy, I don't think is going to cost a huge amount against their cap. I don't think he's going to be, but I don't think he's going to be top tier. He's not going to be lower tier contract for a quarterback. But what do you say, mid tier? He's not going to get Jordan Love. Let's just say that, right? Money.
So you're thinking below that or above it?
I'm thinking in the middle between wherever the top guys are now.
If you're Purdy's people, I
And
think you've had better seasons than Jordan Love. I think I would look that up and look at Purdy's numbers versus Jordan Love's. Jordan Love's numbers, if I'm just thinking off the top of my head, I would imagine that Purdy's got better numbers, right? He's already been to the Super Bowl. Jordan Love
he
hasn't.
does. Yeah, he does.
There's no way if I'm Brock Purdy's agent, how do you allow me to be paid below Jordan Love? I don't think it's possible. I don't think you can pay me below Jordan Love. Not given what's happened. I've been to the Super Bowl, for Christ's sake. Like, you gotta at least pay me for going to the Super Bowl. It used to mean something.
Yeah,
you know?
I just don't know where you. I just don't know how you evaluate him. He's not Josh Allen. He's not Mahomes.
No, absolutely not. No,
he's not.
He can't get paid like those guys. No, he's not in that tier for sure.
So I just don't know where. That's what I'm saying. Maybe he's into that not mid tier, but maybe that mid to high tier. I just don't. I just don't know where I'd have to literally look at contract to see where I put him. But yeah, I just don't think he's gonna be just you're not giving him like Mahomes, Allen, the Lamar Jackson contracts. I just don't.
Jordan Love had 4,159 yards last year, 32 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, 96.
Right, but this is just
that's pretty damn good.
Real season, right?
Correct. Yep. In his first real season, I feel like those first real seasons can go against you or for you. Like I don't really know what you are until I see a couple seasons of what you are. So I don't really put a lot of stock into. You see, I feel like you can use it as a compliment to somebody. It can also be used as something against somebody. Like it can be used as a compliment as look at this person starting out the gate. Look how much better they can get on what they've already. Look at where they're starting from that floor. And they can just get so much better. So that's the compliment portion of it. But I think that the knock me, at least for somebody like a Brock Purdy, who's only had a couple years, but still, Brock Purdy, 42-80, 31 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, 113 on the quarterback rating, 107 on the quarterback rating the first year. And it's already been to a Super Bowl. I feel like you got to pay me at least on par with Jordan Love. And maybe I still think the Super Bowl maybe gets me over. If I think his agent is even fire your agent if he can't get you paid more than Jordan Love. He's not going to get you paid more than Jalen Hurts, Lamar. He's not going to get you paid more than those guys. But you can argue that he deserves to be right around there when you start looking at stats. Like when you start looking at his stats on paper, he's on paper as good as any other quarterback on paper. It's just that in your head, if you had to choose between a Josh Allen, if you're in your heart of hearts, say Josh Allen or Brock Purdy, you're going to take Josh Allen. If you say Lamar Jackson, Brock Purdy, you could take Lamar Jackson. I feel like there's so many quarterbacks you can do this with. You know what I mean? Where you probably still take the other guy, even though Brock Purdy's numbers say something otherwise. And maybe that's one of the downfalls of being in a Kyle Shanahan offense, where you just not get credit for anything you ever do.
And now I'm looking at it. I think he probably could be because Jordan Love's 55, 2 is 53, Jared Goff is 53, and Justin Herbert's 52. So you know what? I can see him in that because then you've got Kyler at 46, you got Deshaun at 46.
No, he's got to be above those guys, right?
Right. Your Cousins at 45. So yeah, you know what? No,
sounds like a $50 million guy to me.
Yeah,
that's what it sounds like. Yeah, for Brock Purdy, back up the Brinks truck.
Yeah. There you go.
All right. So let's see here. Our next team are the Baltimore Ravens. I don't know if this is a surprise or not. The Ravens seem to routinely find themselves on these top 5 lists, but Vegas really loves them coming into the season. A lot of other NFL pundits love them as well. What are your thoughts here on the Ravens top 5, number 3 on the power rankings, top 5 power rankings?
No shock. Lamar wins games. Bottom line. He's a winning quarterback. He wins games. They've got, they had probably the worst luck with their defense last year, but they still were one of the top defenses. The only thing is I want to see from Lamar is to kind of take this instead of going last year in that Chiefs game, going for the home run ball a lot, just kind of taking what the defense gets you or running the ball. And there's so many times he had just moments to do that. So decision making, we'd like to see Lamar just kind of take that step when it comes to playoffs. But no. And then we got King Henry back there, who's just going to be gobbling up the, right? If you got him in your fantasy, you're probably going to get 9,000 points because he's going to score a touchdown when they're 2 yards in from the goal. So Yeah, I mean, it's just it's crazy these smart organizations. Your your Chiefs, your Niners, the Baltimores. I mean, just they just every year, like, how do they do that? How do they get these players? How do they get these free agents? How they just like Lamar was drafted late in the first round, and
Yeah.
he's won MVP, and he's just the future one of the
He's
future
won it
quarterbacks of this
twice, right?
league.
Didn't he win it last year?
Yep, he did win last year, right? I forgot about that.
He's a two-time MVP winner. Isn't that
Two-time
incredible?
MVP, yes. Yeah. And he looks good. And he bulked up this year. So he's got put a little muscle on there. So he's looking good.
What are your thoughts on the playoff strides that you feel like they need to take? Because I'm thinking this is a team that has a very similar issue to what I thought in basketball about the Boston Celtics. There's a certain point in
Mm,
time where you're so good that your success is only going to be measured in postseason success. We expect you can win 10 games, 10, 11 games. And it's kind of like an expectation in Baltimore. For one, they're just a winning organization. Baltimore's been a winning
yeah.
organization for a long time. So you expect them to
Uh-huh.
win games. Winning 10 games, kind of like being with the Steelers. Like, you can win games and getting through regular seasons just doesn't do it for the city. And I don't think it should. You've already had a couple Super Bowls. They had a Flacco Super Bowl, right? And had that one
Flacco
with
Super Bowl.
Trent Dilfer.
Trent
I think Ray
Trent
Lewis on
Dilfer.
both those
Uh-huh.
teams. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so you're used to Super Bowl success. You get now to the point where you got a two-time MVP at the quarterback position. Blessed to have that. You just bring in Derrick Henry. This has to be not necessarily a Super Bowl or bust, but at least conference championship or bust, right? At least
Yeah.
that. What
Yeah.
do you think?
Yeah. And then that's the thing is like the other teams are getting better around you. It's like the Chargers aren't going to sit around and be bad. Well, they're going to be good in the next few years, right? They may be good next year with the new coach, and so with Harbaugh, the other Harbaugh over there. So you're right. You gotta down to time because your window is only open so long in the NFL, and unfortunately, you do play in the same division as one of the probably the best quarterback when it's all said and done. So that makes it tough. So,
I mean, same
but you're right. At
same
some point,
conference.
same conference. I'm sorry. Yeah, same conference.
Yeah, and that
But
probably
yeah,
get me. That's why I'm only having them get to the Super Bowl, get to the conference game. I'm gonna give them credit for that because if Patrick Mahomes ends you, it's Patrick Mahomes. But can you at
yeah.
least get there and get to the point where and you know what's funny is I don't know if that's enough because I would have to look and see where did they play last year. What was the conference championship game last year? Were they there last year? I gotta look and see if they made it. They might have been in the conference championship. I gotta go back and see if I can remember as far back as what was that,
As
7
last
months
year.
ago? About the beginning of this year, man. They would have played that game in like January, February. So maybe they were. I think that what they would have to do is I don't know if anything but a Super Bowl berth. Okay, and let's not even say they got to win it. That's lofty, and I get where
Hmm.
people might think that that's just something that's there's a lot of luck in there. So I get that. But I don't think you're crazy if you're a Baltimore fan and you're a city that's already had championships. You got a guy that's already had multiple MVPs. What else will satisfy you? Like you've climbed the mountaintop, or you've already been to the mountaintop twice in both aspects. I think the next thing that you expect is a championship banner, or at least competing for a championship. I'm not sure if that's unfair expectation. Do you feel like it
No,
is?
no, I don't think that is. I mean, you've got all this talent around you. How is it not? Oh, you're right. It was the conference championship game. We're looking at it right now. That was the
Right.
conference championship game.
So there we go. That it's you got to get over it.
Yeah.
They're getting closer and closer and closer, and this is the same thing that Boston did in the NBA. They got closer and closer and closer till they actually got to the game, got knocked off, got back to the game, and then were victorious. So they seem to be knocking, and I don't know if anything but raising a championship banner will satisfy the city here, and I don't think that that's all the way unfair. Let's go to our number 4 team, which is the Detroit
Oh, I love this
Lions.
team.
The Detroit Lions, number 4 team. Now, you talk about those scrappy teams. We always talk about scrappy teams. on this show, right? Let's talk about the Detroit Lions here. Let's give them a little bit of love. Now, this is a team that has been grinding and grinding and grinding away at it for the last couple of years. They would get closer and closer and closer. I think a few key draft picks. You can look back at this team and trace it to, okay, first they get Jared Goff. Now, the Jared Goff and Matt Stafford, we know that worked out great. This is sometimes situations work out for both parties. One got a Super Bowl out of it, and Jared Goff ended up getting another contract from the Detroit Lions, and you can only get that contract if you deserve it. So it ended up working out for both cities. Now you got a quarterback. Okay, you get Jahmyr Gibbs. You have Amari St. Brown, one of the best receivers in the NFL. So you got St. Brown. Yep. You get a guy like Jahmyr Gibbs, right? You go and get Sam Laporta at your tight end position.
Yes.
You get Hutchinson coming off the edge. Look at the front office is doing an amazing job there in Detroit. And I think that they should be applauded for it. What a turnaround. What an amazing time to be alive for a Detroit fan if you can come into a season and see that you're actually on a power ranking. If you just hold that to some of these Detroit fans going back, recent like memory,
20 years ago?
Go back you can go back 10 years ago with some of these guys, man. Not all those Stafford teams were great, man. I mean, maybe the Megatron years I got to go back and see it because there were always
there were some pretty turd ones too. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, some trash in there too, but you're now not anymore, man. You're in the penthouse now. What are your thoughts here on the Detroit Lions?
I love it. They drafted so well. And don't forget, they've got Williamson, the kid out of Alabama, coming out still kind of rehabbing the knee. What if that guy takes off? That's just another weapon for them. They're, like you said, their defense. And here's the thing: what happened with Philadelphia didn't happen to Detroit this year. They like everyone was trying to poach their offensive coordinator and defense coordinator. Well, guess what? They're both staying. They both stayed. So so what happened to Philadelphia last year when they lost both their coordinators, their season went to crap. So you got, like you said, it's just they're kind of one of my sleepers to go to the Super Bowl out of the NFC. I mean, they've got everything you would want them, right? They got, and they're, like you said, what do? It's like, hey, we're not really good at the cornerback position. We want to get a little better on that. So they draft. Amazing, right? It's night and day from what this organization used to be.
What's interesting is they not only are they on the power rankings here, but they're also are in a situation where, from a scoring standpoint, they're projected to score the most here as well.
Yeah.
So they're projected to score the most, and you're projected to have a third or fourth best chance to go to Super Bowl. It's not a bad situation to be in coming into the league, right? Like you come in and you're right there in the Super Bowl hunt. And not only are you in the Super Bowl hunt, you're also projected to put points up. If you're a fantasy guy, you want some of these guys. You want St. Brown. You want Laporta. You want Gibbs. These are guys you want on your team because they're projected to score a lot of points. Right up there with San Francisco and Kansas City. And I don't know if you would have said that not too long ago, that you'd be on a multiple list with the best teams in the NFL. If you're the fan base, how do you feel? It's got to feel great, right?
Got to feel really great. And then you've got the whole Jared Goff. How many times have we seen a quarterback get traded and actually change, actually become better? Usually it doesn't happen. Usually we got to know, like, Daniel Jones isn't going to go to another team and he's going to be Jared Goff, right? It's just not going to happen. Jared Goff is going to this team, and he became. I mean, he wasn't like a bad starter at with the Rams, but he elevated his game. He became a legit starter, got his contract, and it's just I'm amazed. It's like I can't believe we're talking about the Lions as a possible Super Bowl team, and they almost beat the 49ers last year in the playoffs. So they got that. So they're not scared. They're not the scared Lions like we're used to. And yeah, you're right. They're going to score a lot of points.
Can we give a medal to Brad Holmes here, man? Brad Holmes, GM for the Lions. He deserves a medal, man. I mean, you put together an amazing team here. We often crap on these guys' decisions when we feel like they aren't the ones that we would have made or they go south. But this is an organization that has been turned around. I like everything about it. I like their coach. I like the GM. I like the team. And it's good to see all that kind of equal success because you don't often have that happen here in the NFL. Let's go to our fifth
and the
team.
coach kind of fits the city, right? Well, real quick, the coach
absolutely.
Kind of fits the
Like
city,
a little like that gritty
like
kind of
Tomlin fits
guy,
Pittsburgh.
you know?
Yeah, like
Correct.
Right. Yeah. Like Tomlin fits
Central
Pittsburgh, and like
casting
he
for
fits
a
Detroit.
Lions coach, right? Kind of
right.
like Cowher and Tomlin have been there in Pittsburgh. Number 5 kind of surprised me a little bit. Cincinnati Bengals here.
Me too.
At number 5, and this was one of those teams where the Cincinnati Bengals were kind of going back and forth on the power rankings between I'm gonna tell you that. Well, I guess we'll go with we'll tell you the 16 in a second. But they were kind of back and forth between a team. They weren't like solid the same way that the first 4, the Chiefs, the 49ers, the Ravens, the Lions, that were pretty consistent consensus wise. This team was waffling kind of back and forth, but still relatively high. If they weren't 5, they were 6 on a lot of people's rankings. This, to me, just says that people believe in the health of Joe Burrow because, simply put, the team is as good as Joe Burrow is. Now, they had a guy slinging it last year, man. They had a guy, was it Browning? Jay Browning they had at quarterback last year? He was slinging it, man. And I know because I was playing against him in fantasy and he was destroying me on some of these weeks. And I'm like, who the hell is this guy? And he's killing me and making Chase fantasy relative. So it's, to me, though, to have him this high, no matter how much you like the guy, he's not Joe Burrow. So to have him this high says to me that they believe that Joe Burrow, from a health standpoint, is going to hold up. What are your thoughts there? And you said that you were as surprised they're this high as well?
Yeah, I mean, when I hear the wrist injury that has never been, it's never happened before. It's, no quarterback has ever had his injury before, and I think it was a baseball player that had it before, something like that. I don't know. It kind of scares me, and I have not seen him throw a ball yet. I don't know. Listen. He is the legit, but I mean that worries me, and again maybe that's the first game. It'll be different. I want to see him throw the ball, but that's worrisome when the top quarterback he has an injury that nobody's ever had before. That's kind of scary.
So you're placing all that basically on passing the eye test. You want to see him be healthy before you can kind of give him any ranking, is what you're saying.
Yeah, and it's like, and I mean, listen, they've got a great coach. Their coach is, he's definitely, he can get, almost like that, like the Harbaugh can get a lot. You just give him, like him, McVay can get a lot. What he's dealt with, but the line still isn't fixed. So so we're not sure he can throw, and then we're still getting behind that awful line. Who knows how T. Higgins is going to be? I guess maybe they upgraded a running back. Maybe you can.
No, I mean they got Zach Moss. I think Zach
maybe,
Moss upgraded.
Maybe Zach
from
Moss.
Joe Mixon.
I don't know. Maybe it's like, yeah. So I don't know. That's I want to kind of see it because just the whole Burrow thing. That's a scary thing.
They drafted a kid, Chase Brown. I think that he's not number 2 there. A lot of people are anxious to kind of see what he's going to do. Or I know they got him. I'm not sure if he was a draft pick this year or if he just hasn't used, but I know that they got him in the wings there behind your boy Zach Moss. And I don't know if Zach Moss personally was an upgrade from Joe Mixon. No, Zach Moss did show flashes with the Colts.
He did. He saved my couple games, fantasy football games last year.
He has show flashes before. He's not, and Zach Moss is not a bad. I didn't say it to me he's bad. I just felt like maybe I just have Mixon respect than most people did. Yeah. But I think that another thing, it will be the T. Higgins situation, is just seeing how that all gets worked out. Because if the T. Higgins situation doesn't get worked out, is he disgruntled, or is it an incentivizer where he's now saying, well, you're not giving me my money. I know I'm auditioning for a different team. Let me go out here and try to see what's up. Kind of how Diggs can be doing. Diggs is doing, amicably, that was kind of their agreement in Houston. But maybe that's an incentivizer. But I think Higgins matters. Burrow matters. You're kind of stuck there, in my opinion. If those two things go south, it's hard to see how the team recovers.
Correct. Yeah, and they can only go as far as Burrow. So I mean, listen, yeah, we always know he's right there when in that top tier conversation, right? Or if you want to put Mahomes by himself, by all means. But if you want to, it's definitely Holmes, and then below if it's Burrow and Allen. I mean, that's and if you want to put Lamar in there, that's fine. But yeah, those guys are just they're if they lose, they're guys. If they're gone, their teams are just like you said. We saw what happened to when he got injured last year.
Last team we're going to discuss here, and this team kind of went back and forth with the Bengals for that fifth place, is the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, the Eagles on the power rankings, a lot of power rankings have them in the fifth spot. Some have them in the sixth, and had the Bengals kind of switch there. But I did see enough of the Philly in the fifth spot to kind of have them here. So going into the season, they, at least Vegas, these are the wise guys rankings. I got these rankings personally off of Bet MGM, but I looked at a few different sites just to make sure everything kind of lined up. But the wise guys definitely like the Eagles here. What are your thoughts?
Well, it's at least they've reshuffled with the offensive coordinator to defensive coordinator. So hopefully that'll be a little better, right? At least on the offensive side. So maybe that'll help. It's a make or break year, right, for the head coach. I mean, if they go
because of how the slide happened, right? Only because of the way. Sometimes it's not just like losing; it's how you lose, and the fact that it's the tale of two seasons where you come in, it's gangbusters, you're killing, you're destroying folks, and then just you fall off a cliff. I'm not sure what happens, and there was a lot of blame going around. Seemed like there's morale, and they just kind of self-destructed there down the stretch. So I think because of how they lost, it matters more to the hot seat, because this is a good team franchise-wise too, and I think that probably matters as much too. When you're paying, that you decide that you're going to pay a guy like Smith, you're going to pay a guy like Brown. You're reaching into your pocketbook if you're the owner. So it's not your fault. You're used to a level of success, just like we were talking about in Baltimore and Philly. You're also used to success here, going to Super Bowls. So the next thing that you have to do is raise that banner. And team-wise, you got everything that you need, I think, there to do it. Result-wise, losing the way that you lost down the stretch in succession like that can really hurt you. What are your final thoughts here on that number 5 team?
Yeah, I mean, it's like you said, we're the coaches. He's going to be in the hot seat. They have that same fall, but I mean, they have still 2 great receivers. I still think Jalen Hurts was hurt last year. I can't. The guy just doesn't regress like that. I'm just sorry. The talent we've seen him. I know there's nothing's come out, but he looked like he's playing hurt to me. And they got the Saquon Barkley. I mean, so you have that out. If you have that bailout, running back who can catch the ball. That's one thing that I think that's underrated about Saquon. We know he can run through the tackles, and we know he's a great running back, but that guy can catch and he can run. And that's that. And then I still think Daniel Jones needs to pay him some money for that, because he got him that contract for doing how many times he got bailed out. He bailed out Daniel Jones. So I think it's going to help. Like their offense, like they got a legit running back. They tried to patch it together last year with running back that didn't work, and so now they got a legit guy. And so yeah, I'm with you. Just curious, where were the Jets at in this ranking?
Man, they were further down the list. I'll have to bring up Bet MGM's
no worries. I just was curious you had it in front of you.
Kind of figure it out. But what's interesting is Jalen Hurts, looking at his stats while we were discussing this, and Jalen Hurts' stats, man, they weren't horrible. 38-58. He had 23 touchdowns. The 15 interceptions is what killed him, because that's the outlier thing when you look at that. Yeah, the 15 interceptions killed him, because he had another 600 rushing yards added to that. So he's having better rushing situation, but the interceptions are going to kill you, and 15 is just unacceptable, especially for a guy who's getting paid what you're getting paid. You can't have that many interceptions. And that's like more than he had almost in the other 2 years combined. When I look at the other 2 years, let me look at the other ones here. So he had 15. Yeah, that's 22 and 21 combined. He had 6 interceptions in 22, 9 interceptions in 21, 4 interceptions, but didn't play all the games 2020. and 15 this year. So when you're looking at his stats, it's a statistical outlier. He passed for close to the same yards in those other years. So that's probably what it is right there. It's probably what it is. So now, real last word on this. Do you have any final thoughts here on the Eagles?
I just, like I said, I want to see it this year. I mean, this is it, and they've got to he's got to be able to read the blitzes. I mean, I don't know if you listen to any of Kelsey's commentary, him retiring. It's like the zero blitz was what really killed him. So they've got to figure out a way. He's got to figure out a way to get the ball out faster or run. It's okay. It's like some guys, if the lane's open, you don't have to sit there and be a pocket. Don't use what God gave you. If he gave you some legs to run it and get the first step. But never slide, get out of bounds. Those types of things. But yeah, I'm really curious. I didn't realize that they would be so hype on this list. But yeah, I'm as curious as you. We'll know pretty early on what this team is going to be.
This is Just Stats. Reggie Johnson, Eugene Morton. Check us out: Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you find your podcasts. See you next time.